Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. And this is their new hoax. But we did something that's been pretty amazing.
Around the globe, people are adjusting to major life changes, helping to fight the spread of the coronavirus. Many of you probably find yourselves at home and hopefully social distancing.
Press is in hysteria mode.
Ladies and gents and ladies, you are here on another episode of Talkin Sweet. You are Talkin Sweet with SWEETBABY Jay. As always, it's an anonymous situation. Some people do choose to use their name, player's choice. Brother, what's going on, man? How you feeling today?
I'm good. How you doing today?
All right. As I said, this is an anonymous situation. Do you care to share your name?
Hey, they just call me JJ.
JJ is a good way to be, man. I'm a J myself. I am SWEETBABY Jay. You know, we know each other. Sometimes on some of these episodes, I know the person. Sometimes I don't. You are a soldier of fortune. How do you feel being a soldier in today's army?
Well, in today's army, being a soldier is being 2 times a soldier. So the first thing you have to deal with is knowing your job. Second thing you have to deal with, there's a lot of racism within the community as far as the military.
Yeah, I know that. When I was in, the racism was unreal. Actually, the only reason I got out, because I just couldn't take dealing with the racism anymore. It was way too much to deal with, and I did not feel that I needed that in my life. So I just stepped away from the whole situation. I would have been retired with over 25 years now. But you're still trucking through. Have you seen or felt the racism hit you directly?
I have. I would be in the same situation you were. We're about the same age group. I had about a 9-year break in service, got out the first time due to having some racist leaders. My second career was pretty much based on, instead of letting the system get the best of me, let me become a part of the system and help my fellow brothers out since I know the ins and outs. So that's something that I've been striving for. I'm still in schools doing different military things, and I just try to put a different light on being a minority in the military, but being the majority here on earth.
Your whole thing is now, it's not just about what you have to deal with. It's more about uplifting others and guiding others. How do you feel about educating others through the process, that the ones that are deliverer of any type of racist acts or whatever, or those racist mindsets? Are you in a position in which you can speak on that situation to them and be like, yo, listen, bro, you wrong? Or even, are they even open to hearing it?
Well, sometimes it's hard getting people to understand the system because they get so upset with how they're treated. But I've strived to become a leader, moved up through the ranks. But my ultimate goal is to bring other brothers and sisters along for the ride, teach them the ins and outs, and let them know how to get around the racism. And it's only going to last so long. And that's what people forget. They're like, well, the military has been segregated for X amount of years. You know, we gotta start. We started in the mess halls. We started as picking up ammo. But in this day and age, it's still true that we're behind. But yet and still, we have the opportunity, if we play the long game, we can get enough of us in leadership to where in the next 10, 15 years, it's not about you. It's about the next generation. It's about your kids coming into a system to where you can't tell them don't sign up for the military because it's the other man's army. Now it's your army, it's your Air Force, it's your Navy, it's your Coast Guard, it's your Marines.
Yeah, I really was told that quite a bit. Why would I join the military? You find this next man's war, and I really didn't have a reason why I joined. But one thing I did notice is that the recruiting process is lopsided. I have seen where they recruited through my high school, that they really were strongly recruiting everyone to join the Army. They seemed like they wanted a lot of people in the Army, and they really didn't tell you about the fact that you can become an officer. I never got that knowledge about being an officer, or they just wanted me to join and be an MP or be infantry. They never really told me about being an officer. So I really had to find out on my own, as opposed to other schools or other people's routes. They were really told to join, and we're told you can be an officer. Do you see that, a lot of that? Or people come in and they're officers, and from what I've seen, a lot of officers are not really combat ready. But those enlisted are really combat ready, but you have to really wait your turn and get up in the ranks.
The token of that, I've been on both sides of the token, right? I've been on the enlisted side, I've been in the officer side. One of the things that's out there we don't know When I first came in, first thing they want to do is put you in a position. They want to give you a truck driver's position.
Yeah.
They want to put you in a chemical unit.
Yeah.
They want to put you out there in infantry.
Yep.
But what they fail to tell you is there's other jobs in the Army that will get you a well-paying job when you get out. You can get security clearances. You can be a tech guy. You can go in and have the military pay for all of your certifications in order to be in IT. You can pay for them to have you radars, ordnance.
But that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. They really do not. They recruit at certain schools in certain neighborhoods in order to fill positions, where in other schools they fill careers.
That's facts.
Yeah, and it's incredibly unfortunate. Luckily for me, I actually had a career outside of the military, but I seen that from the inside looking out, and it's always crazy to me. Like, how come I didn't know about this field or that field, or even when getting out? How come the military say that they're preparing you for this post-military career? Not really always the case.
It's not. Think about it this way. When you go in and they have you fill a truck driver's position, or they have you fill in an ammo handler's position, or they have you doing some basic stuff on a ship, or just say if you're in the Coast Guard, they have you doing basic things. Well, the thing you need to ask yourself is, what does this translate to on the civilian side?
Civilian side, yeah.
If you take control of your own destiny and say, hey, what I want to do on the civilian side needs to reflect what I want to push for being in the military.
So you have to be active in your role in your life as a soldier.
Right, but you need the right people in the chain of command to get you where you need to go. And that is my whole purpose for hanging around. Even though you're saying, hey, you're fighting somebody else's war, well, great. You know, you're walking around here, you're making other people rich buying Nikes and different things of that nature. So do something for yourself. You might have to do something you don't necessarily agree with, but just don't put yourself in a moral compromise or lose your identity.
Yeah, you're right on that one. We always hear, and I know you hear it as well, I always hear it, where people say, thank you for your service. What does that translate to when you hear someone say to you, thank you for your service?
To me, I'm not one of the American flag waving, I'm doing something for God and country. I'm doing stuff for my family. If that just so happens to entail God and country, thank me for my service, I signed up to do this.
Yeah.
Do I thank you for your ice cream if you work at an ice cream shop?
Well,
thank you for your service. Great.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do. You get paid to do it.
yeah.
So if that's the case, you should thank everybody for every job they do, and we would actually have a friendlier society, maybe if you thank everybody. But
Yeah.
for me, I don't care. I signed up for this.
I am with you 100%. The thing is that when I hear people say thank you for your service, I say you're welcome. And I say it, but I always feel this thing like, and I always say, don't thank me, thank the family, because the family goes through so much more when a soldier is on deployment, because they're not 100% aware of what the soldier is going through. They don't know. There's no guarantee that you're coming back, and it's tough. The family goes through a lot, and I've seen a lot of soldiers lose their wives, lose their girlfriends, lose their whole family just because the distance.
You speaking of wives, you have to have somebody in your corner, whether it's a wife or a husband, because you got your female soldiers out here as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
And what ends up happening a lot of times, I've seen it too many times with relationships, people go out, they make good money while they're gone, making that sacrifice, and the spouse is either spending money or they found them another, Jody is what we call it,
Where's Jody?
filling in the bedroom.
Oh, man, that pipe layer. Everybody, hey, they need it. You got to know who you're dealing with. At times, that distance, people have needs. It's crazy.
On the other side of that, being away from the family is a sacrifice. And going back to the point you made when the original question you asked me, people say thank you for your service. A lot of times I feel like, don't thank me, serve with me. A lot of the people that are pro let's go to war are the last people that would sign up. And
Yeah.
that's the issue I have.
Yeah,
you know?
you are. Whew, you talking on it, brother. You are 100% correct on that one. Even our good president, he wants a war. He wants a war. He even said a war on Corona, but he wants a war, but yet he dodged it.
Now, from where I sit, I'm still in. You know this. But where I sit, I do think, like I said, we've had some great presidents. Obama, great president. We've had great presidents before him. But for some reason, I still have the feeling that if you're going to be commander-in-chief, you should have served at least a minimum of 4 years in the military before you send people out to do certain things so you really understand what you're doing.
I agree. When you watch movies, old school movies, whether it be of Sparta or whatever, you know, the leaders always was at the front line of this war. They were down there with the troops.
You're right. Even with the kings, you go back to a lot of your tribal individuals. Tecumseh was one of the ones. People probably don't know about Tecumseh, but it's something they can look up. Tecumseh tried to unify people, but wasn't listened to. You had Shaka Zulu back during that time.
Love Shaka.
Shaka united all the tribes to fight off the British. They only succeeded because they came back a second time in a bigger wave, and everybody went back to living their normal lives because they couldn't sit there waiting on them for another year. There's been other leaders, you know, a lot of this stuff in the news now with the Confederates.
Oh, okay.
Your forts, and we're going on the military topic. I mentioned it before it came in the news, but you got Fort Bragg, Fort Polk, Fort Lee, Fort Hood, Benning. People don't know those names, but if you look them up, those were names of individuals that were Confederate leaders because when they named those bases were put into play during the civil rights, before the civil rights era.
Civil War.
Yeah, they were put during the civil rights era that was there, and even before then, people just don't know. Bragg was a horrible general. His people didn't like him. Most of these leaders that these bases are named off of
Were pieces of shit.
pretty much.
And that would make you think, like, do you have to be a piece of shit person in order to go down in the history books?
It's true. You're with me. What's the big saying? You fuck up the rank up.
Yeah, it is the truth.
Because it's like, I don't want this dude over here because he's going to get these people killed. So let's promote him and put him over here as a colonel over the mess section.
Get him out of here.
So just because he's got colonel behind his name, your E4, E5 has seen more action.
I've seen where people say, this person is a good person because, you know, he served in the military. I do not sign on to that. Just because you served into on the military, you know, side of life doesn't mean that you're a good person. Doesn't make you an honorable person. There's a lot of piece of shit people in the service or people that have been doing very negative things in order to move up in the ranks. So just because someone's running for office, people really love to put out there that they served in the military. I would like to speak to the soldiers that were to the side of them and served under them to find out what kind of person was this person as a soldier. I need the facts before I sign on. I don't care if you were a soldier. What did you do as a soldier?
That's some good stuff that you're speaking right now, because a lot of times you have people that, oh, I spent 20 years as this. Well, the thing about spending 20 years as this or that, it's just like a company. If you work for your current company right now, you have a different experience than the man that's up top.
Yeah.
So you might be in a position where you don't have time with your family. You work overtime, you make money, and your experience is different than him or her at the top level that has time to play golf, go work out, go mountain biking. So why is there a difference? And they make so much more money. Same thing goes in the military. You know, it's like, well, we got more responsibility. You do, but yet at the same time, your responsibility is making sure your soldiers are taken care of, and sometimes they are neglected for personal gain in order to get that rank and make the money for their families, and they forget about soldiers.
Sometimes I think that's all too often, and I've seen it firsthand. Hey, listen, if I ever sound like a disgruntled soldier, well, I apologize, but I've seen a lot of crap, and it's very frustrating when you sign up and you really think that you sign into a brotherhood. You sign up to a brotherhood in which you feel that you're going to be taken care of, where the upper ranks are going to take care of you, and you see where they're not. You see where people do things for their own personal gain, or they will do things, and when you do the same thing, you're getting written up for it, but they're doing it, and it's like, no, you're not part of the cool crew, so you getting, you know.
Now, I got to be careful with this one. This has been about maybe, I'm not going to say the time, it's been a bit ago. But they tried to end my career, and it was a couple individuals. I was really good at my job. I made them look very good, but when it came down to it and they had nothing to do and no wartime operations was going, they started nitpicking. It was something that they didn't understand, but they took a stand on it to focus their attentions on me since they had nothing to do. I came out of it squeaky clean, as you know, I'm still in. But the point was, if I didn't know what to say or what they could and could not do, they could have coerced me into having myself discharged.
Now, we're going to talk about, because there's a lot of things here, man. Often, there's a lot of protests going on. A lot of officers, not all, but a lot, feel that they have to treat certain people like animals because all are alike. Absolutely not the case. And it's horrendous to think that way. But there are those that do think that way. And the reason why I mention that is sometimes people are pulled into situations where it can start off as something minor, but yet because an officer escalates the situation, whether it be through his demeanor, through his attitude, towards the things just the way they're treating someone, they make it go way farther than it has to. And I think the reason why they do that is because they're trying to stimulate something in you so that they can say, look, exactly what I said he would be.
I got something to tell you about that. So we're talking about the protest now, right? And then we're also talking about the officers. And so we can tie both of those together. So one of the things is, at the end of the day, people look out for themselves.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people that are in command, when something comes down, it's under their watch. Well, when they say stuff rolls downhill, in order to protect yourself, you label people because they're pawns in a game. So you can just sacrifice them on the board, jump them 2 spaces, forward, let the knight come hit them because you got your plans in order to strike with your rook to get your career forward. But you're going to let that pawn go.
100. It is a game. Unfortunate reality, it is a game.
The game's real.
For far too many, it's a game. And for far too many others, it's life.
Well, the game's real. I've been called a monkey before.
In service?
In service, but I'm a little witty. I complimented them. I said, thank you for your compliment. You're a great guy, and I'm glad you spoke of me as a monkey. And they looked dumbfounded, and I said a few words. I said, what color is a monkey when you shave it? So we're not too much different.
No, well, there you go. There you go.
So not that I'm claiming to be a primate, but the point was, from the comment you made, I wanted you to think a little bit about what you just said. If you're going to degrade me, what color is a monkey when you shave it? So that really set home with people. And that's my weapon to fighting back against injustice and racism, is an education.
Knowledge.
People don't have a lot of knowledge. We could really go deep. We'll probably do it on another cast. But we can start getting deep about, you have the Tuskegee experiments that they were giving people syphilis. You have different aspects where it took people dang near a whole 2 generations of people in order to receive medals for valor acts during World War II. This is all not made up or my opinion. This is all factual.
All factual stuff. Listen, man, when people really say thank you for your service to me, it really, sometimes it rubs me the wrong way, because the things that I've had to go through, I really just don't feel that any person just shouldn't have to go through that. And I'm not even talking about seeing dead bodies or all the combat. I'm more talking about the things that were directed towards me as a person. I consider myself a good guy. I pride myself on being high energy, happy guy. But far too many times I was tested where it shouldn't have to be.
So can I ask you a question?
Hit me.
We're hitting it. So have you noticed the difference how you're treated, whether you're in uniform versus out of uniform, by the same community? Yeah,
there's a huge difference. I am very much was treated very differently. Well, you know what? Let's not even say was, because even in my professional career, when I'm in uniform, you definitely do get a different level of respect from those that are not wearing that uniform. And that even stands true for what I do now. I am treated differently for those that wear the same uniform that I do now, but I'm treated very different. I get more respect, I believe, from others that are not wearing my same uniform. And I think that was also the same case when I was in a military uniform. Now, while in uniform, in my professional career and in my military career, I do believe that that respect was definitely an uphill battle from those wearing the same uniform as I. I really find myself having to do 40% more than other soldiers of Caucasian descent have to do the same.
And you're right. And that's why I say knowledge, and that's what has pushed me for like a second part of my career, because I start quickly realizing the more I knew, the better I got at my job, I could do whatever I wanted to. It wasn't because you wanted to let me do what I wanted to.
You had to fight for it.
It was because you could not get accomplished what you wanted to get accomplished if I wasn't around.
Yeah.
And that's where I put myself, not trying to be like I, but they teach teamwork in the military. But at some point in time, you do have to separate yourself and make yourself an irreplaceable asset, which is hard to do. But once you do it, you can do whatever you want to. People can hate you, but they can't knock your work ethic. And they can't knock your knowledge. So those two things alone, you can still excel even through the negativity of racism
100%
if you can do the other two.
That really goes for whatever field you're in. You have to make yourself irreplaceable. You have to make yourself irreplaceable. You have to make yourself, no matter it, and it's going to come with challenges. It's going to come with never-ending challenges. And the better you are at something, the more you're going to find people trying to chop you at the knees because you shouldn't be this good.
And they will replace you if the situation's right, but they might have to replace you with 2 to 3 individuals to do what you do. Yeah. So now you make yourself, you got to think yourself as a business. Are you willing to hire 2 people to replace me, or are you willing to tolerate me and let me have my career? And so when it comes to an issue like that, when you don't have the funding for it, you have to tolerate that person. And if they check off the blocks, you can't stop them from progressing when the time comes.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a waiting game, brother. Let me tell you, you got to, sometimes, you know, those that are hating on you, you just wait it out and watch them drop.
You got to. Patience.
Yeah.
When they say patience is a virtue. That has been my key to success. I have watched 3 people succeed, surpass me, and I trained them. I had to wait. Once I did wait, I got to that next level. Once I got to that level, I ran across a great individual that could distinguish between bullshit and talent. And the guys knew me, and he was like, well, they told me about you. You trained them and why they were so good. And I see. He was like, I don't understand why you didn't get moved up quicker. And we just had a backdoor conversation about why. But as soon as I got there, I ended up excelling within 6 months, right above them where I should be. Time frame, I still ended up in the same spot. Dollar-wise, I missed out on about 3 years of the salary going from A to B.
We cannot deny that those 3 years that you missed out, how it impacts your family, how it impacts your progress. It could, how it could change your zip code. These things are what people don't think about.
Well, we start off behind. And it's not because our history started with slavery, and I'm just talking about as being a minority, an African-American minority, which I really don't like that term, but that's the only way people know how to identify us.
Yeah, for some reason.
But we had history before then, and all the history books teach us that we started in slavery. My thing is talking about the waiting game. I hear people want to change things in the military. They want to change things out here in society. Well, unless you want to create your own system, which is going to come with setting us 2-3 generations back before you can establish your own, why don't you infiltrate the system and change it with
change from within?
And that's why I do plea when everybody's talking about the police, and I tell my buddies, hey, if you got somebody without a criminal record, the mothers, if you got kids without a criminal record, we should be flooding the police department right now with applications, because in 1 or 2 generations, the whole makeup of the department will be changed. Instead of protesting in the street, which is great, let's go change the system from within. Let's get some politicians out here.
And do not let the system take over who you are as a person. You know, you still have to do your job, but at the same time, stay true to self. Make sure that you're doing the right thing across the board. People are really out there protesting because they want equal rights. Nobody's looking for a handout. No one's asking anybody to look the other way. But just keep it across the board. Just be fair. And that's an issue.
It's never going to be fair.
No.
And that's where people are failing to realize, because my biggest thing, you got the military now, I know we're speaking on that. They're looking at renaming bases. People want to take down the Confederate flag. I give 2 fucks about the Confederate flag. You can fly that motherfucker if you want to, because there were several Confederate flags if you educate yourself, because you had different regiments all around the state. You even had most of your Confederate soldiers did not even want to fight. That's why they turned and ran, because they were threatening their families. A lot of your Union soldiers were fighting for their personal families. I go back to this back earlier in our conversation when you were asking, when people say thank you for your service. Everybody has an ultimate motive to look out for the family, because that's number one.
Yeah.
on both sides.
Yeah.
But going back to our race issue, we're either going to A, build our own, or B, change the system to make it our own. So it's totally up to us on how we do it. And I just have a feeling somebody needs to step up. And the movement we have, what is the end game?
If there is no end game, no end plan, it's really going to be a wash, rinse, repeat. We've seen this happen in the past many of times. This is not the first time. If we do not do things with a plan, if we don't do things in a way that will show that we have a place that we're trying to get with this, it's going to be another wash, rinse, repeat situation.
So people might get mad at me, and I really don't care. But think of it this way. The NFL issued an official apology, and you have Kaepernick with no job, and you stain his career. If people really want to do something, it's going to take self-sacrifice. But like I say, people will not sacrifice their families, because if you really want to make a change, hockey did it, and people don't realize hockey went on strike. These NFL players should go on strike. These NBA players should go on strike. If you don't have those seasons, who is making the money? They make money, but who's making the majority of the money to be able to pay these guys $20 million a year for a bonus or something, or pay somebody $20 million over 5 years? Who makes that kind of money off of the merchandise and what people buy? If you go to strike on these sports, those will be your heroes in order to make a change, because you're going to hurt them in the pockets.
Well, this is the thing. So now NFL is saying, we didn't get it right. We were wrong. What are they going to do with Kaepernick now? What are they going to do? Are they going to give him a front office NFL position? He deserves it, because clearly, and he was actually peacefully protesting, but people said, now is not the time. Not during an NFL game. Now is when you're not supposed to be doing this. But now that things are burning, now that people are protesting in the streets, now's not the time. When is the time?
Well, let's go back to that. Let's go back to Kaepernick taking the knee. Do you know why he took the knee?
Yeah, because one of his fellow players felt that it was disrespectful that he not come out or something like that during the flag.
That, and also he actually talked to it's a guy. If you look him up, and I'm not, you can just kind of Google it, but he actually was a Green Beret. Mm-hmm. This guy went to Kaepernick and told him that the best way he thought would be to taking a knee. Well, if you research taking a knee is submissiveness.
It's very respectful.
It is.
We take a knee when we pray.
Correct. And if you watch Game of Thrones and you're a fan, bend the knee.
Yeah.
If you're bending a knee or you're taking a knee, it's
Humbling.
a sign of
being humble, respect, submissive.
Correct. So how is this a protest and you're aggressor and you're taking a knee to something?
People don't want to see it. People just want to be blind. People want to be blind because it's an inconvenience to them. It's taken away from the NFL game. Actually, no, it's not. And on top of that, understand what he is going through. Understand the message that he's trying to put out there. And now all of a sudden, when buildings are burning, now that lives are being lost, now people are understanding.
So they're talking about the looters, right? You have a lot of people like, well, these people shouldn't be looting. The whole United States, as we know it, was looted. Yeah. Africa was looted.
Continues to be.
So this is the thing. You have America. They've looted us here as citizens, and people haven't been paying attention while coronavirus was going, because they've been passing certain laws that nobody pays attention to, because the Real Housewives of Atlanta is more important than C-SPAN.
Well, there you go. People rather be entertained than be informed.
It goes back to even the Romans did that. While I got you here looking at the NFL football game, and that's all you care about, I'm at your house stealing stuff while I gave you free tickets. Now, when everybody comes home and realize all the stuff's been stolen, it's too late.
The Trojan horse. Old tactic there. Hey, listen, that's even an NFL. They do that as a like a game plan. The Trojan horse. You stand there, act like you threw it, and you know what? Somebody else comes in, takes it, and runs.
Hey, but look at it this way. Coronavirus unified people, and this death is sad. But this death, to me, is more of a publicity stunt in order to divide, because we're coming up into an election year. That's just my synopsis on it. Because you've had Trayvon and countless others. People forget about organ harvesting for minorities. People don't even know melanin costs more than gold per gram.
That's news to me.
Look it up. What are you doing with all these people in the prison systems when they have no family and you're disposing of bodies and you have organs? That's a whole nother topic, so I can go deep with you.
Lord,
But I
yeah,
mean, that's another one for another day.
Goodness.
But think about it. What do you do with these organs from the prisoners?
Never thought of it.
It's a whole nother black market out there that's unspoke of, and people don't want to hear it because it sounds conspiracy theorist, but it's actually truth in it, but it's not mainstream news.
I'm gonna have to look that up because I will say it does sound conspiracy theorist type, but I am really all about listening to everybody because some things are just not conspiracy theories. Some things are actually real, but we all just need to be educated about it and look deeper.
So I'm gonna leave you with a little bit here, and just to let you know my thought process. People do not know about the chocolate hands in Belgium.
You're gonna have to you're not just gonna say about it. You're gonna talk about it. Tell me about it.
King Leopold II actually chopped off hands of kids, women, and children that weren't picking enough. The cocoa, it's actually a little milky white substance. If they didn't pick enough per day, they would have their hands cut off. Belgium's been celebrating this up until this day, and people don't know about it. You also had him kill more people than the Jews in Africa, but we're not taught that in history. When you look back on it, too, you have not only King Leopold, but you have St. Patrick. So St. Patrick actually killed the Pygmy tribe of Africans that were living on Ireland. That's how you kind of get the leprechaun aspect, because you had those Pygmies living there. So we can get deeper than us starting on this other stuff.
You will give me some stuff here, man. Woo! Wow. Wait, so how are the Belgians celebrating this?
So they would have chocolate hands. And I don't remember the exact day because I really don't care to know. You know, I've read about it, but they have a day where they celebrate with chocolate hands and everybody eats chocolate hands.
Wow.
But that day goes back to King Leopold chopping off hands. Just like we sing Jingle Bells. And if anybody knows what a jingle bell is.
Hit me. What is?
Jingle bells were put around the slave's neck. It's really hard finding on the internet unless you know where to look. And it came up in the church. But the jingle bells originally started being around slaves' necks because that's how they know. Whistle while you work, whistle walk. They used to make slaves whistle, bringing food from the cookhouse into the master's house. So they knew they weren't eating the food. So we can get really deep on this to where there's a lot of stuff embedded that this is never taught in history, but it's factual, but nobody wants to hear it.
Well, history is really all about who teaches it. You know, history, I've said this, and I've mentioned this, you know, time and time again before in this show, that when I was in Iraq, I was speaking with some soldiers from the Red Army that believed that Hitler was doing God's work.
I've heard it.
Well, they were taught that Hitler was a great guy. And, you know, here in the U.S., of course, and most of the world, we were taught the total opposite.
So there's a couple of things said. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but you've heard Hitler use the term true Jews.
I never heard of it.
Some of the writings, we weren't around during that period of time, but you hear the true Jews and then the Jews, so-called Jews. There's a difference in those, and I'll just let that for anybody that wants to look it up to research that on their own. But there is a difference.
Brother, you're giving me more than I can handle right now, man. You're giving me more than I can handle. I got to look up all this stuff. I'm actually looking up the Jingle Bell stuff right now.
Hey, Yankee Doodle Dandy, the song we sing and our kids sing.
Yeah.
Yankee Doodle Dandy was making fun of the United States. The Macaroni Club was a bunch of homosexuals during that day that had their own club.
Really?
That's why they say stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni.
Wow.
Why would you have macaroni when you stick a feather in your hat? There were a bunch of flamboyant dressing guys during that time and frame, and so it was actually a insult or a kind of like one of those parodies where you're making fun of somebody and all that stuff of the States, and we just adopted it and not know what we sing all the time.
Wow.
So you still shouldn't actually sing Yankee Doodle Dandy if you know where the origins are from.
Man, listen, you are giving a lot right now. I'm going to have to say thank you for talking sweet with Sweet Baby Jay. We are going to have to hit up Google, research some of this stuff, see what we are being educated on in this episode. And ladies and gents, always know you can call in at 669-241-1422 for your anonymous interview. Brother, JJ, I appreciate you, man.
Hey, 2 words before I leave. Look up the Devil's Punch Bowl and not the actual geological formation. It's actually a mass grave here in the United States, and that's something that, you know, The listeners can look up on their own.
Man, he left you with a jewel. Look that up, ladies and gents and ladies. Thanks again for checking in with Talking Sweet with Sweet Baby Jay. You can always call in for your interview, 669-241-1422. It's a great day to be me. I hope it's a great day to be you.